The Rise of Africa, the continent, the diaspora, and BRICS explores the relationships that are affecting the global economy right now. This book explores the relationships of the African diaspora's influence on the African continent and why this is important in stabilizing relationships with an understanding of how BRICS impacts the future, good or bad. You can order your copy of The Rise of Africa today on Amazon.com. Neo-diplomacy is the new currency. Neo-diplomacy is the new currency. The reason that I can say that is you have a couple of different factors occurring right now as we speak on the world stage. The dollar is being disrupted. Nations are no longer wanting to engage with the United States. But the third factor that affects each and every one of us is that there is a diaspora from the African continent that's willing and able to engage our brothers and sisters on the continent. All right, shalom, salama, biyemi, shalom. Greetings to all my Israelite brothers and sisters from around the world, whether the bloodline of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the house of Israel, or you're Gentile, grafted into the house under the blood of Yahushua HaMashiach. I welcome you this morning. This morning in these times of testing. Times of testing. These are unprecedented times. If you were able to watch what Jacoba was presenting, it's the Gentiles that's in trouble. And as much as we have basically stated all this, you have the Epstein files, you have things going on with Iran, you have Cuba, you got Taiwan that can pop off at any time. More things going on with Venezuela. It's just, we're in the midst of crazy and chaotic. So now, excuse me, family, this is going to be a lot of interruptions during this broadcast. Just a second. Okay, I'm back. All right, I'm sorry. All right. Excuse me. Trying to labor through this. I don't think I'm going to have long. It's just some key points, and then I'm going to have to wrap this on up. I want to show this article. And let me go ahead and share it. This is from the Chicago Tribune. This is as of today. Daniel DePetris, what kind of deal is the U.S. looking for in Cuba? Said the captured Venezuelan strongman Nicolas Maduro in the heart of Caracas last month served multiple purposes for Donald Trump. First, Operation Nab the Man was a long-time irritant to U.S. interests. Irritant, not necessarily criminal, but irritant. I want you to understand how systematic programming works of a society. And it's interesting because you're looking at a lot of what is happening in this world, in this nation. You're looking at the issues that they have really created. And then when they create the issues, then they're going to say, well, they need democracy. Okay. How did they get there? How did they get to that point? The point that you have when you are looking at, well, everything else is good, everything else is great, everything else is grand. That now you're looking at a campaign in self deception when they don't want to acknowledge their own roles in this. But you know what? The reality is the Most High said that we would be given over to a foolish nation, a nation that is ran by children and women. That's the word. You can get mad, you can get angry. That's the word. The Most High is sexist. Look, it is what it is. That's the word. If you want to have the attitude of defiance, then understand what is waiting for these people. Because here is what is coming to these nations. And I want to just do a little bit of a carve out. This is Isaiah 14, starting at verse 18. So at the beginning of this chapter, the Most High is going to, let's scroll on up here. It said, for Yahuwah will have mercy on Jacob and yet will choose Israel and set them in their own land, and the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. But let me go down here because there's different precedents that's going on as the Most High is judging these nations. Because here, starting at this is Isaiah 14:13, right here. For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of Yahuwah. I will sit up, I will also, or excuse me, I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. That's what they say. How are they going to be like the Most High? By trying to take, and that's what they've done, the identity of the Most High's people. They can't be like the Most High, but they're going to try and do everything that they can to take the identity. And that's what they've done. And now, shout out to Brother Asaph. Now, a lot of them folks that had come on over here thinking that this would be a safe haven in a promised land, they're now going back to Germany. Surprise, interesting. Why are they not going down to that Eastern Mediterranean nation? Why are they not going to the place that was quote unquote about 20, 30 years ago? That was the promised land. They made that known. Now it's not so much of a promise in a very ill-gotten, ill-conceived notion. Isaiah 14 and 15. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell on the sides of the pit. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble? The man. Understand that they were exalting themselves as God. Remember those Valhalla comments? We'll see you in Valhalla, brother. That made the world as a wilderness and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of his prisoners. That opened not the house. You know, it's interesting and ironic that everything you see in the word is a brutal descriptor of what this nation is today. I didn't say it. The word said, the Most High already spoke this through Isaiah, son of Uzziah. This was declared millennia ago. Because why? Because we had to go through, as Jacoba had stated, our presence had to be known amongst the earth, the whole earth. You know of us? You understand who we are? We come back to the land of our forefathers. And now the Gentiles have to make a choice of what they're trying to do, what they need to do, what the word tells them to do. I don't care if you're looking at the Quranic scrolls. I don't care what Buddhist scrolls and things. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's the Most High that gets the glory. So they're going to have to make a decision of who they're going to follow. These nations that knew of Jacob. Yep. Why? Because we were their prisoners. Why? Because they tried to farm out our labor, our capital, our inventions, you name it, to the whole world. I was looking down at YouTube last night. And it was a Caucasian lady, and she said, younger. She didn't really know. And none of the things that they say are biblically accurate, if you can tell. They're not at all. And you can tell that those apply very distorted biblical analysis to support their distorted view. And the lady had stated, she said, I don't know why I should pay reparations. I don't know why, because that's my forefathers, and it was this and that. And you know what? I understood what she was saying. I got where she was coming from. But the problem is that if you think in the carnal, that all makes sense. Well, what the Most High says in terms of James chapter 5 and verse 3, the labor is worth its wages. You can't steal forever. But here's another shocker that they do not like to consider. Stay with me now. So Isaiah 14:16 continued. Is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms, that made the world as a wilderness and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of the prisoners? Isaiah 14:18. All the kings of the nations, even all them, lie in glory, everyone in his own house. I have to try. I'm gonna have to do an etymology of the lion glory. I don't know if this is supposed to be some sort of a homonym of they lie to themselves as they're also lying in the midst of their vanity, their imagination. That's a good one. I wonder what the translators for the KGV were thinking on that one. But here it is. Here's the shocking change of events. Isaiah 14:19. But thou art cast out of thy grave like an abominable branch, and as the raiment of those that are slain. thrust through with the sword, that go down to the stones of the pit, as the raiment of those that are slain. Here's the thing. Do you ever take the clothes of a dead person? Not really. Because every single time that you get that cloth, you're gonna look at it and you're gonna be like, dang, there is blood here, there is blood there, there is blood there. And that blood may stain, that blood may cause an off color that you'll always be looking at. And it's like, wow, somebody died in these clothes. Well, if they died in these clothes, then what does that mean for me? Right? You have to think about things like that. That go down to the pit, to the stones of the pit, as a carcass trodden under feet. Thou shalt not be joined with them in burial, because thou hast destroyed thy land and slain thy people. They're going to do this to their own self. Here's something that was very prophetic. The seed of evildoers shall never be renowned. Oh my goodness. It's going to be so great. It's going to be so bigly. It's going to be so huge. Well, if you didn't know the word, it says here, the seed of evildoers shall never be renowned. Wait a second. Here's something that flips the script. Isaiah 14:21. Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if we profited. It doesn't matter. It doesn't. No, here's the thing. If you don't want to repent, if you don't want to make atonement, humble yourselves, seek meekness and humility. Well, here it is. This is for the Most High. Message. Prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their what father? Their fathers. Their fathers. Oh, yeah, that thing. That goes all the way on up. Because why? Because the father never addressed the issues. The father never explained why they needed to repent and repair and return stolen things. Here it is. Isaiah 14:21 continuing, that they do not rise nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. This is a total cutoff. Here it is. For I will rise up against them, saith Yahuwah of hosts, and cut off from Babylon the name and remnant and son and nephew, saith Yahuwah. If you're a Babylonian today, basically, i.e., an American, i.e., West, whatever you want to call yourself, I really don't care. You weren't here at this time because the world did it wasn't at this time. It wasn't at this time where you're spread on out. It wasn't at this time that your likeness and your image was everywhere, and it's everywhere. What is that going to do? Well, people are going to realize I can't really associate or be associated. Did you see how bad they got destroyed if I do something or say something? If I try to emulate what they just did, we're going to be destroyed too. Why is it that they're always afraid of becoming extinct? There is always a biblical precedent because we've done wickedness and evil. That's the precedent. And in doing so, they're literally going to cut their nose to smite their face. We would look at that as that's crazy. They don't see things the same way that we see. Um, I wanna show this one in the chat, and then I'm gonna go to a story. I have the link down there. It's Associated Press. It's a little bit of a stale story, but it provides context nonetheless. Arab allies urge restraint from U.S. and Iran as Trump demands deal on nuclear program. So, U.S. allies and partners in the Middle East. This is from Matthew Lee, a Farnoosh Amiri, and Michelle L. Price. So, as of June or January 30th. So, this is sometime last week. U.S. allies and partners in the Middle East again are urging restraint from both the United States and Iran as the Trump administration warns of a possible strike and builds up its military presence in the region, according to an Arab diplomat familiar with the matter. Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Oman, and Qatar have been in touch with leaders in Washington and Tehran. Now, this is a little bit of an interesting article because there was a excuse me. Give me a second. All right, here we go. Bit of an interesting article. This was Shafak. I think it's a Jordanian website. Let me post this again. What is that? Ezekiel 26? Or let me make sure I have the right biblical. No, it'll be Isaiah. I'm responding to what Brother Sean had stated. Isaiah, let me read what Brother Sean had said. He says, I have to admit, a Covenant Awakens are silence and not participating in their madness has been a great thing for the worldwide Hebrew community. It has. It has. And to respond to that, this is Isaiah 26 and 20. Come, my people, enter thou into thy chambers and shut thy doors about thee, hide thyself, as if it were for a little moment until the indignation be overpassed. This indignation is here, and they're mad that it's here because they want us to respond that we're not responding. This is again from Shafak. Have the article posted. Says here, Jordan will not allow airspace use in any attack on Iran, FM says. Foreign minister. This is as of yesterday. This is February 2nd, as of yesterday. Jordan said on Monday it would not allow its territory or airspace to be used for any military action against Iran amid U.S. threats towards Tehran. In a statement, Jordanian Foreign Minister Ayman Safadi, in a phone call with his Iranian counterpart Abbas Araghchi, stressed that the kingdom would confront any attempt to violate its airspace or turn it into a battlefield. Ayman Safadi rejects any breach of state sovereignty and supports diplomatic efforts to ease tension, including dialogue on Iran's nuclear file. Sorry, this is obviously translated in English. Tensions between Tehran and Washington have intensified with U.S. President Donald Trump repeatedly warning of military action. Okay, yada yada. Why is this so important? Why is this so important? Because, again, I'm going to tell you this. 8 months ago, all of that hoopla of, that Eastern Mediterranean nation was able to take out all these rockets and everything else and blah, blah, whatever. No, they weren't. Here's this denial and self-deception. This is their campaign. All this showed was exactly what I stated. I stated that on this channel. You can go back, look it up. Look it up between June to July 15th, because I was talking about this, of 2025. That Eastern Mediterranean nation survived because of literally Iraq, parts of Syria, parts of UAE, parts of Qatar, parts of Saudi Arabia, and Jordan as its last line of defense. And it was still cutting through. They're lying in glory. It's a lie in glory. Oh boy. Isaiah 14. We have all of this stuff. No, they did not. And remember, those nations were about to be overthrown by their people. You're working with a genocider nation? Get out of here. No, we weren't. No, that wasn't us. No, it was. They had to tap dance. They're not afraid of Iran. They're afraid of their own people because they're going to be complicit in promoting the genocide. Like I had stated, oh no, that wasn't us, and blah, blah, blah. Look, I said they're lying. That image that I have in the thumbnail is from a place called Kasadi. Kasadi, King Abdullah Special Operations Training Center. I spent time on Kasadi. Kasadi is really in the heart of Amman. And if you have smoke and stuff go up in Kasadi is kind of on a hill. And people will see that. And people will panic. And they don't ever give the actual demographic numbers of the amount of Palestinians in Jordan, but it is like a crazy amount. They say it could actually be well over 50%. That's why they were scared. They were saying, no, that wasn't us. No, we didn't. We only fired a few things, and, just to make sure. Remember, that was their words, quote unquote. Paraphrasing. We only fired a few to make sure that they did not coming to Jordan. No, they didn't. They were interdicting the missiles for that Eastern Mediterranean nation. What Iran did was they called them on their bluff. Okay, if you do that again, we're not playing with you. We will destroy you too. They're telling that to Iraq. We're not playing with you. We're going to destroy you too. They're telling that to UAE, to Qatar, to Saudi Arabia. And now everybody, this is as of literally yesterday, everybody's backing off. What's going on? I'm going to tell you what's going to probably go on. The U.S. will probably try to cut and run. And they're not going to have a dramatic show of force. If you strike, do you see how they're rethinking their calculus? What Iran was trying to do, they were trying to be friendly to their neighbors. Okay, we're not going to strike your targets. We're going to tell you what we're doing, how we're striking. And guess what? They saw the wall. I honestly think, to me, this is just my personal opinion. I think that if the Arab countries did not protect that Eastern Mediterranean nation, 75% of the population would be gone. I'm just saying. This is it. And you see that Eastern Mediterranean nation said that they're about to go in and strike Iran again. Are you kidding? They're spelling the end. I told you they're going to do it with their hands. I didn't tell you that. Both sides did it. They're doing this to themselves. We're just looking in astonishment and bewilderment because it's like, wow, dang, they're really doing this to themselves. No, I don't think so. I think it's this. I think it's that. I'll talk about a little bit more of this tomorrow because I got to wrap it on up. Tuesdays are usually a early wrap up day for me. Where does this translate to? Well, right now you had the Aleutian, the IL-76. It is there, the Russia's heavy freight. All right, can you all hear me? Of course, my phone wants to play games. I don't know what's going on. They're trying their best to destroy these broadcasts. I'm telling you. I'm giving you a little bit of that open source pie that they don't like. So quickly, going back to this story. They know that something's going to get ready to go down in Cuba. The reason I'm, not liking that is, yeah, I'm sorry about that. My phone was connecting to my laptop. So what was going on? I had a student that returned from Cuba. Excuse me. I'm here in Tampa. Believe it or not, Cuba and Tampa have had like historical affiliations from like literally before Florida was actually a state. And the person from she's I thought she'd come from Brazil, but she's like, no, I came from Cuba. I was there with my family. No, they had to check in on their grandmother, and they were trying to bring one of their family members over. And Trump had canceled all the visas, so they couldn't do that. But they were telling that energy was constrained. Parts of the grid was on, parts of the grid was off. Some part you have internet with no electricity, other parts you had electricity and no internet. They're on the verge of actually collapsing. And she was able to come back, I believe, on Sunday because they had missed flights. Because obviously, if you're in a window of no electricity or no internet, then that creates issues, right? So she had explained, she said, you know what? The people are just ready to be taken over. They said that they want to be taken over so they can have, different things. They can have the advantages. I thought to myself, I said, maybe 5 or 10 years ago, probably. But right now, no. Because again, our participation has ended. And I think a lot of folks, and it's getting the Caucasians really mad that we are no longer participating in the system. They're mad, they're angry. And all I could think of was that is really the greatest psychological warfare to literally embargo that country with the energy resources that Venezuela was producing. And you're going to have people literally dying and starving to death. Because she said that she had gone over to a restaurant with her family, and the restaurant almost served her bad chicken. She smelled that it was bad and she didn't eat it. And I said, that's a good choice. I'm going to tell you this. We really can't imagine that now. But when you look at Obadiah, and it says, do unto her as she has done unto others, to so many. What are you going to do? You going to get mad? You going to complain? I'm not. And that is basically almost here. Currency manipulation, metal surges, up and down, destabilization, it's all here. We're all witnessing a collapse. We just don't know it's a collapse because understand that when it collapses, it's a quick, oh, pack your stuff, got to get up on out of here. But in the midst of all that, they're going through breathing all of these different things of I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. All I could say is the moment that when you see a kingdom doing that is the moment that that kingdom is going to fall. And it's going to be imminent. Remember, they stopped reporting things literally 4 or 5 months ago. Back in October, they stopped reporting actual numbers. So what do you think this country is really like? What disposition do you think we're really in? I thought this. I said, okay, as soon as they do that, we have about, I would say, 6 to 12 months as soon as they do that. Because even your jobs numbers show that there's some sort of a healthy hiring position, which shows liquidity. They took that on out and things aren't liquid. And now people are complaining things are expensive. Just wait till you start seeing people actually starving to death. And yes, they are trying to go out with a bang. They truly are. But again, as I'm here, I'm fighting the good fight. I am fighting the good fight. If I get arrested, I don't have the Don Lemon support. So I'll just be disappeared. Just pray for me. I'm a little bilingual. So if I do have to go to a Spanish-speaking country, at least I can survive. ¿Dónde está el baño? Gracias. Por favor. No nada hace. I didn't do it. Ayúdame. Oh, all right. Well, family, I got to get going. If you'd like to support this channel, you can do so. Again, I'm not saying this as, fear mongering. I'm just saying this that this is the truth. We probably do not have much longer on these platforms. Today, again, major changes are going to happen tonight. I don't know if they're going to come through. Honestly, I don't know. But we'll see. There's about, at midnight, at midnight, they're going to be trying to institute Hunger Games for our Haitian brothers and sisters. So, we need to keep everybody in prayer. So with that said, also, I have in the community post a GoFundMe for our brother Christopher Blackwell. Christopher Blackwell has been a loyal supporter of not just this channel, but also all of our channels, partners, ministries. And, we all do fall on hard times, but those hard times, the Most High allows us to work through that because it's a trust issue. We're being prompted to trust him, but we're also being prompted to open our mouths and seek help from our brothers and sisters in the community. That is really one of the hardest things to do. You trust the Most High to bless you when you shout out. So again, this thing in terms of what we learned with pride and humility. I'm telling you, the Most High will put us through some challenges, so we are able to be refined as pure gold. So if you'd like to support our brother, I did that community post yesterday. Thank you, family, for your prayers and support. Pray Most High. I'll be on tomorrow, and I'll be feeling a little bit better. Hallelujah. Excuse me. So with that said, family, shalom. Salama Yemi. Shalom. Peace and blessings. Yashua.